Palo yebole toleo, Sinegale tole baba. Sineno tile pao, Sileya momono, Tirido, 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 Sile dole. Just checking if we're actually online. Yeah, yeah. Seo begele tume pitude. Sileo tume pitude. Sineo tume tumbe. Sineo tume tunde. 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 Malayalo malase magoleo sa tunde. Belovada dilelao sineo tume tunde. 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 Bring it there. Sineo tume tunde. Sineo
no sono bere camano medie mumo yeah 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 no yeah na no yeah na zeo Zuza zeo fala yeah yeah Hey, hey, hey.
Wow. So good to sing with you, Dave.
Oh, brother.
Amazing.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the first of the Circle Up series. And yeah, and you're like my dream guest. It's the guy I want to talk to.
No, it's great. The feeling is mutual, man. When you sent me a note, I was like, Zuza, what's up? Yes.
Nice. And this came from the feeling of just needing to connect, and I was thinking, these times are such a feeling of disconnection, and people inside their houses, their homes, and we have such a beautiful international community. And I'm like, how can we get closer to that, and how can I contribute? And I was like, well, I just love talking to these people and just love hanging out with them, and they're not a part of my daily life as much as I would like to. So maybe I just call them and we just talk in front of people. But that idea stayed in my head for about a couple of months until I decided to, just let's go for it. And I was so happy about the Omega community and how everyone was so excited about it, and asking for the link and wanting to be here. So it's just it's a beautiful gift, this community,
Yeah.
and everyone was really excited about it.
Yeah.
And so the idea is talks about conversations about music and connection. And the idea is to bring people not only from the Omega community, but also from the body music community and the community of people from our retreat. There's so much knowledge and experience that we can tap into from all these amazing people.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, and I want to introduce you all to this new project, Circle Up, and introduce you guys to Paula. Paula is an amazing partner of our project here. Yeah, we
Hello.
have this project here called Musica do Circulo. You would translate it for music from the circle, or music of the circle. And we do the retreats and the fritura livres in the park and a lot of stuff. And Paula's been with us for so many years, and she's Pedro's girlfriend. Pedro's also host the retreat with us, and so excited about you being here, Paula. And just
It's
before
my
you,
pleasure.
yeah, and you're gonna be in the comments. So Paula's gonna be commenting and talking to you guys here. So the idea is that you guys just interact with her, with each other, and she's gonna be putting here on the screen some of your comments and some of your questions. And then from time to time, I'll invite her in, and she'll say how the conversation is going over there and what are the hot topics that we can discuss.
Send me
over here.
hard questions. Send me a lot of questions. We can
Thank
use
you.
David a lot today.
Thank you so much, Paula, for
Thank
helping
you.
us with that.
I will stop my cam. It's
Uh,
better.
I'll, I'll I'll send you over there. I'll send you over there.
Okay.
So goodbye. Talk to bring you back soon. All right. So yes, Dave. As I told you, man, why did I invite you as our first guest? I'm gonna tell you. Uh, for me, like, you represent so beautifully the spirit of this work. And when I say this work, I mean, of course, Circle Songs and Bobby McFerrin's Circle Songs community, but also like the body music community. Every time people are gathered in a circle, especially when they're creating something on the spot, there's a spirit there, and this spirit goes beyond the music, and it invades our lives, and it gets into our daily lives and the way we relate to people, right? That's the idea of Musica do Círculos project, is how can we grow as people and as a community through this kind of music.
Right.
And for me, you always embody this spirit in a very special way. So
Thank you.
yeah, and that's why we want to actually bring you here too, because I think you would really connect to what we're doing here, and we have so much to grow with your experience and your spirit. And just meeting you and being at Omega, just it was such an important thing in my trajectory, and it impacted here our work in Brazil, and our work in Brazil impacted so many people. So it's just this wave that keeps growing, and this is so beautiful. And I always think of Bobby, like, how can a drop in the ocean like
Right.
affect so much, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and I wanted to hear you about that, about this whole experience in the history with Bobby and Voicestra and improv, and how did you get into that, and what
Yeah.
what role did that play in your life?
The first I was in a rock band. I was an instrumentalist and occasional singer in a rock band that toured out of college for a couple of years. And I made a conscious decision that I wanted to be a singer, because I felt that there was an emotional contact or emotional expression that I was able to convey much better as a vocalist than as an instrumentalist. I was a trombone player, so I had this big contraption on my shoulder, and it was cool, and I love it, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't. There was something else. There was like a really deep connection that I felt to vocalizations. And I got home from this road gig. We were just road dogs for 2 years solid. I got home and somebody said, "Hey, you got to check out this guy. You want to sing?" My friends were all like, "You want to sing? You were making this decision. You got to check out this guy, Bobby McFerrin."
Wow.
And I got it in a call one night, like at midnight. And I was living in Berkeley at the time. And there was a little place down the street, a music store that was open till midnight. So I literally went down there and caught him just before they closed the doors. And I said, "Hey, I'm looking for this album, this record." And at that time it was a cassette tape. And I said, "I got one, I got a car with a cassette. Can I get a cassette of Bobby McDougal, I think?" The guy goes, "No, it's Bobby McFerrin. It's over there in the corner." And I went and I got this record, and I got back to my apartment, and I pulled into where I parked under the building, and I put in the cassette, and I listened to it, and I caught this tune, "Sightless Bird," and it just completely tore my heart right from me, and I was transformed. It was like an amazing epiphany. And I sat in
What album was that, Dave?
I believe it. I think it's Spontaneous Inventions. And it's Sightless Bird, and it's just an absolutely gorgeous tune. And I thought, God, if I could ever get close to that feeling, it would just be amazing. And so I, as a vocalist, I was joining all these workshops and stuff, and trying to hang out with people. And I met folks like Joey Blake, who was, we were very young at the time. I think Joey was like 18 years old, and we would hang out, and Joey would do this guy's lawn. He would mow this guy's lawn and do weeding in the yard for the opportunity to do this without having to pay for it, to go to the workshop. So we'd all, we'd go to this workshop, and I was meeting all these people. And one day they had a party, and I'm in the kitchen, and there's Bobby McFerrin. And I was floored. I couldn't believe it. And I went up to him and I said, "Mr. McFerrin, I'm so amazed with what you do." And I knew he was in San Francisco. I knew he was in SF. And I said, "I'd love to sing with you. I'd love to study with you if you think it's worth it." I said it like I was so nervous. I was just like, "If you think it's worth it." And he looked at me, and that look, Zuza, the look. He looked at me, kind of like stared right through me and said, "It's worth it." And I didn't see him again for like a year. And then I heard there was an audition for this group that he had conjured called Voicestra. And there were like 600 people at this audition.
Wow.
And I went to the audition, and I thought, okay, I did what I did, and I didn't hear anything. And about 5 months later, I got a call to go to another audition. So I went to another audition, and there were about 150, 200 people there. And there were auditions that happened like every few months, and it would be less and less people. And finally it was like 30 people, and, and then one day it was like 13. And he said, "Okay, this is the group. Wow. And you guys, we're gonna rehearse for a year, and we're just gonna rehearse and learn how to be together and sing out of each other's mouths." That was the phrase he used.
Wow.
And it was Joey and myself from the crew. Now it was trying to think. I mean, I know everybody. It was Rhiannon, so it was Joey, me, and Rhiannon, and a bunch of other folks, and we did that for a year. We rehearsed, and at the end of the year, he let a couple other people go, and it was just really like, okay, we're on. And we started touring as Voicestra, and we did that for 2 years. But the thing that was amazing in that time was that he said, I've got this idea about singing, because we had sung in circles all the time. It was the first time I ever sang with Bobby was in a circle. And he said,
And always improvise.
always improvising. And he came to the circle and he had a box. And he said, I want you to write down your fondest dream. And I want you to put it in that box. He put the box in the middle of the circle. And so we wrote the dreams out and we put them in the box. And he said, now I want to sing to the box. And so we'd sing for a couple of hours, and we'd meet in churches, and we'd just get these sort of random calls from people, and you'd show up and there were other people that you sort of knew. But we toured. That was the first situation of that. And as we were doing Voicestra, he said, I want to do a 24-hour chant, and I'm going to call it Sing for Your Life. And we're going to do it at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. It's this huge sort of Gothic cathedral in downtown San Francisco. It was built in probably the 20s. And so we did. We went in and we sang for 24 hours.
Wow.
And Bobby's Don't Worry, Be Happy had come out, and it was just really, it was very popular. So there were a lot of people that came. And there were leaders, every 2 hours we had leaders. And it was basically 12 leaders over a 24-hour period. And it was just, it was an amazing experience. The last hour, we were singing and Bobby was leading. He had come, we were all there for 24 hours. We're sleeping in the pews if we catch some a nap or something, but a lot of us just stayed up. We're going to do this, and we did it. And that last hour, Bobby was leading. And I'd say the last 20 minutes, he had us singing one note, the whole crew. And it was, we're talking hundreds of people singing one note. And there was a guy standing in the circle, and he had a baby on his shoulders. I believe it's a little girl. And in the middle of this note, she put her hands up into the air. She was caught up, this child was just so full of joy. She was like, I want to be part of this. And so she just threw her hands up, and everybody was singing that note, and we noticed it. She had her hands up and she just kept them up. And we were singing to this child. It was just all of us. I could feel us all just in one mass singing for this beautiful, innocent person. And she dropped her arms down and we stopped. The whole place stopped.
Wow.
And when she realized it, she looked around and she put her arms back up and we started singing again. It was just, I thought to myself, this is truly something way beyond what we're experiencing or what we think we're experiencing. And it was from that moment for me that circle singing and singing in this circular positioning of ourselves has such an amazing infinite power. And there is a spirituality that exists in no other form. I'm convinced. And the resonance, the vibration, the way that we come to it as a people, it's a natural thing for us. Mm-hmm. It's part of our cell structure is circular. We're made of spheres. The whole world is made of this, and we all vibrate. Everything from the smallest subnuclear particle to the largest mass in the galaxy, everything has vibration. Mm-hmm. So why shouldn't it be something super powerful? Why we're tapped in, and it's truly incredible, and that's the joy, brother. That's the feeling. That's what I know. You know it. I know you feel it. So
and once we experience it, it's like you can't deny it, right? It's true. You felt it, and you felt it over and over again, and it changed your life again and again. So It's like you can't live like if you don't know that that experience is possible.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like we have this strength from whenever things are hard, you can go back to that music and to that state of being, because music is a state of being, right? We can
Right.
connect to that, we can tap into that, and like we know what it's about, and we know that we are one because we heard it, we felt it.
Right.
And yeah, and I feel that, I really feel that in your practice, like that certainty. And of course in Bobby's too, is like there's no doubt at any moment of that truth about connection through the circle and that place that it takes us. And this strength like is like you guys anchor it in such an amazing way. And it's really nice like
You
when you
get
tell this story.
you
Yeah. Yeah, Miriam.
there, man. Everybody, that's the beauty of it. It's this community. We're a tribe. And this is, I tell students and folks that come to the circle all the time, this is worldwide. I
Yeah.
said, we've got Oscar over in Switzerland. We've got Zuza in Brazil. We've got, I mean, we just go through. We got Sophia over here. We got, I mean, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And we're all, I say, this is a family. If you walked in the door, you were welcomed. They know you. They know this feeling. We all feel it. And
Yeah.
that's what's great about it, is just, oh, there's Holly. I see her name on the bottom there. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is our, I think, Zuza, when you sent this note, it was like you were saying, man, I miss it, and I just want to do something for it. And it's because, yes, it's so powerful for us. It's the best thing we do.
Yeah.
Really, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Like the best version of ourselves, right? We
yes,
don't, it's like when we look the most beautiful is when we're like singing together in the circle. It's like when we're like who we are the most.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and it's right around the corner, right? I mean, I think it's no coincidence. Like Omega would be just a couple of weeks from now.
right, absolutely,
And it's like the Omega community, that's us, that's all of us. It doesn't really matter if you're like a teacher or a participant. We are all the community.
we're all one. We're all, we're we're all graduates of MSU, man,
Yeah.
making stuff up. I mean, it's just, as soon as you go there, you just feel the welcome. It's just there, and there's no pretense. I mean, we're just all, we're all in the same family. We all feel it. It's like we're going over the river and through the woods to grandma's house again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's just, it's,
It's interesting because I've been to I've been a part of different families of these kind, right? And for example, we have our community here in São Paulo, and then Omega, and recently Keith invited me to be a teacher at IBMF in Ghana, and that
oh
was like
yeah,
an amazing experience. Yeah,
yeah,
I was like, I was like, I have been in different circles, and I know how it is. It's not going to be anything new, and I was blown away by what Keith does. What IBMF is, it's really,
yeah,
it's different because at Circle Songs or at Musica do Circulo, you know what you're going to have that experience, and you're going deep into it. But in Keith's work, it's so diverse. You have like so many different approaches to body music, so radically different. If you get the guys from Melody, Melody, right? The stepping guys,
yeah,
uh, like they have this aggressive energy, right? And it's so amazing and it's so beautiful. And then me and Pedro from Musica do Circulo, it's like a totally radically different thing.
yeah,
And we're gonna teach it softly and step by step and flow into it. And we're like they're appreciating each other's work and the difference. And so it's a whole new different thing. And but the reason I was telling you is that, yeah, so I know this feeling, but every time I go to Omega, I really remember very clearly one day, I think it was my fourth or fifth year, and I go into the main hall. For some reason, I was a little late, and you were holding a circle song. You were doing a circle song, and I just came in there and I just started crying. It's like I'm back home, and I was surprised by that feeling. I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I'm back home, and because I think the first time I went to Omega, it was I had experiences like that with improvised music before, but not in that scale. So it was ground zero for a lot of stuff that happened after that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I would like to ask you is, so all right, we go to Omega, or you tour with Circle Songs, and for a while, and that lasts for a while, but
Yeah.
eventually all these things end, and you go back home, and there's day-to-day lives.
Right.
And so my question is, how does that work reverberated in your life back where you're based in San Francisco, right? Or Oakland?
I'm in Oakland, yeah, the other side of the bay.
Oakland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened in Oakland because of all that? How did it reverberate over there, or in your life?
Because
in
of
Oakland?
shelter in place, is that what you're talking about? The pandemic, or
No, I mean, like just in your life, like projects and stuff, like in your regular day-to-day job life, and how
Right.
did this period reverberate and in your music, in your practice?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. I really firmly believe that everything I do contributes to the music that I bring to the circle.
Mhm.
It's circle singing and the conducting and facilitating and doing all the various things that I teach all of that here in Oakland at a church.
Mhm.
What happened was the group that was formed over in San Francisco, Grace Cathedral, it was actually Grace let it go, and we brought it over to Oakland about 20 years ago. We brought it to Oakland and we started it in Oakland. So we're on our 20th year.
Wow.
And yeah, it's kind of amazing. But it's that power. But I've been teaching facilitating, which is leading the circle, for probably about 4 years now. But it's not a full-time gig. It's like, I get a handful of students and we do it, and I do that, and I'm working with with people on all kinds of musical levels. But I also am I'm a metal worker. I do fabrication, metal fabrication. And that was for the times back from the tours, that was kind of the thing I was doing.
Mhm.
And people would say, how can you have such a diverse life of this and that and still keep some sort of semblance of parody? How does that? Well, it all kind of works together. I'm not real deep into the part of the alchemy of metalworking that some people are, but I'm into the sculpture and I'm into the creative process, and that creative process allows me a lot of time to be in my subconscious, and I feel that we're always creating in our subconscious. So the circle song stuff is always working. It's always working. And we've started circles in Alameda, which is just on the other side. There's a bridge between Oakland. It's an island right off of Oakland. We started a circle there. We started a circle up in Sebastopol, California, which is about an hour north. This past year, we went over to San Francisco and we did something at Glide Memorial Church. We actually sang on New Year's Eve, and we did it from 8 to midnight, and it was truly amazing. It was the first time that they had ever had that there, and this is a very progressive church in San Francisco that's very well known. And we brought, through their music department and their pastor, we brought the circle there They started it there, and we all went, and it was a truly extraordinary night. So we're always busy. It's always, you know how it is, man. We just juggle, right?
Yeah.
We just keep throwing balls in the air and, you know, make it happen. So, but it all feeds, you know, our creative sense. I really believe that everything we do, I'm a father, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, 14 going on 25. And if any of you know teenagers, you know what that's like, especially if a young woman, young, very fierce young woman. So and that fuels the fire too. That fuels the creative input and the output. So it all, you know, just really is joined at the hip. It's all very, very much interrelated. There's nothing is really completely succinct from the other. My relationships, my friends, my circle here, my circle community here, the folks are they're my family. They are people that I love dearly. And
So when
great.
you say we, that's what you're talking about, right? Like you said, we went to this church and we went to this cathedral, and I was about to ask you, who's this we?
Oh, you mean for Grace or for Glide Memorial? My circle, the circle that we have here at First Congregational Church in Oakland. It's not far from where I live. It's right downtown, and it's 2501 Harrison Street, downtown Oakland, and it's there's a community of people there that are very much dedicated to this, and some of them have already, like, there's Brian Dyer right there,
Yeah.
and he's, you know, he's the guy. Glide Memorial
Yeah.
was the church, and he's talking about it. That's one of our guys, and that's my partner in crime over there, Brian. So I mean, we're making this happen, and we're trying to organize it and be part of it and just be, you know, show up. And this community is fabulous. It's just really great.
Yeah, and I get what you say about like being this chosen family, the family that you chose, right? Really, and the feeling, this great feeling that maybe you met the person once, but it's already home, it's already family to you. And you know, when you talk about the community and how you guys have been building it, it really, that's one of the reasons I wanted to start this, because we're all scattered and doing our thing, and it's so interesting to get to know the different communities of people uh, doing that and developing in that sense. So that part of the family that I still don't know, because I've never been to Oakland, but
Right. Not
and
not yet, bro.
yeah, and so that's very interesting to understand how the scene in the community is built and how it grows, because we know that everyone belongs in that circle, right? So we want to bring everyone in, more and more people to get to experience that, and for that thing to contaminate other areas of the city we live. Imagine if the whole city sang in the circle, we wouldn't have so many problems.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And so, and over there in Oakland, you also have like a strong body music community, right? With
Yeah,
Keith.
Keith Terry is a treasure here. And you know, Brian Dyer, who we just showed his name on there in the bottom. Brian and Keith play together quite often. So Brian is part of the circle community, but he's also part of the body work or body music community. And there are some amazing, and Antoine here is here, and there's just some incredible folks that are right here in Oakland. And Keith is really, he's kind of the fountainhead of all of that. You know, he's been around for a long time. I mean, he's Cross Pulse has been just a big part of our, you know, of our musical and dance community for some time. So yeah, shout out to Keith. He's been carrying that torch for a long time, and it's some beautiful stuff, and people are really resonating with it and embracing it and making it really happen here.
Wow.
So, and everywhere actually. So as you know.
Yeah, one thing that happened, because here in São Paulo, the body music scene was very strong because of Fernando Barba and Barbatuques and all that. And I was always a vocal music guy, but the body music thing really catched me, and I was like, we can join these two things together, and that's what we used to study here before I went to Omega. That was the thing. We were trying to get these things together, and then at Omega everything gained another proportion. And but I've always been like curious about how these communities could integrate more and more. And so we brought Keith down here for our last retreat, and it was he has been here many times in São Paulo. We've been with him many times, but he was at the retreat for the whole 7 days, and that was really just magic. The level of commitment he has to this work and the level he brings it is amazing. It's like in the energy, man. He would be leading a body music stuff, and the 20 years old would be like falling down, and he was like, how come I'm just starting?
Right. Wait a minute.
Yeah. And I had the privilege to be also with Brian in Ghana at this IBMF. So
Yeah.
and I love being that bridge. I think that uh, I get to play this bridge sometimes between the body music community and the circle singing community, and it's a beautiful role because we have so much to. It's the same thing, It's basically the one is with the voice, the other is with the body, but it's the same spirit.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I have to go to Oakland because I really really appreciate the scene there. And when you talk, so that about your scene in your community, that's really interests me, and I think a lot of people over there a lot. And because how do you build that when that's something I think we could talk about. How do you build that? Because one thing that happened to me after the first time I came to Omega, I went back home and I was like, okay, where are the 200 people for me to sing with? They're not there when I wake up. I
Yeah.
want that. And so I started doing and trying to make things happen here, and just starting going to a park and inviting people to come, whoever. And that grew into Fritura Livre, who's this gathering we have every month. And we sometimes more than 100 people show up, and we've been doing it every single month since January 2013.
Wow.
And recently Keith Terry just promoted something in Oakland, and he was telling us that was inspired in the things in Fritura Livre here. So he started to do something like that over there. And but I and people always ask, how do you build this community from zero sometimes when you're the
Right.
only representative? What do you think about that, Dave?
Well,
How do
when
you
we
see that?
first brought it over from San Francisco, Bobby was no longer in the Bay Area, so there wasn't that person, that dignitary to sort of attach the whole thing to. So when we brought it, we brought it back to a place called the Presidio Chapel, and then we brought it to Oakland. And when we brought it to Oakland, the first circle we had, there were 8 people, and it was like, oh yeah, I think I remember that. I could probably show up on a Wednesday. So what we did was we just kept going Wednesdays. And it was at the time, my mother was very ill, and I wanted to do this as a prayer for her every week. So we were doing every week. And it just kind of caught on. People were like, oh, this was great. I'm going to tell my friends. And, it was kind of like the idea of a gig begets a gig, you just do it and people just show up and they just keep coming. And we built this parody every month, and then we decided, okay, every third month or every third Wednesday we would do it. And we got a group together of people that kept showing up that wanted to help organize, and we called them the usual suspects, because they always ended up being there. and they really help to organize, just the extra administrative things that go on. They're just a wonderful group of people that give completely from their hearts. And we meet and we have meetings and we talk about how we're going to do this. Right now, it's very difficult because of shelter in place. I got back from tour literally on March 18th, and 2 days later, we were told we couldn't leave our homes. So that changes things a lot. And we have not been a circle since, I guess it was February, maybe I think we maybe got February done, and that was it. And it's been difficult. Brian Dyer had moved everything into Alameda, so we had multiple things going on. We had Glide Memorial, the possibilities of doing that on a regular basis. We were going to Sebastopol. We were working workshops with them, and everything just stopped. So a situation like that it happens. The idea there is to maintain community, because that's really what this is about. It's really not about like music. It's musical, yes. It's vibrational, yes. It's resonance, yes. But it's really the community. So how do we maintain the community? Well, we get on Zoom. We make Zoom our friend. We reinvent ourselves. We become technical wizards. We figure out how to download 5 minutes before we're supposed to be on, which, we had that. We got history there. But it's one of those things. And I started calling people from the circle, and we'd get like 12, 15 people on, and we just check in and see how people were doing. It's, and it was really very powerful to do that. And then we just kept doing it. We'd say, okay, we'll get together next week. And then folks would email each other, and we would get back on Zoom, and more people would come. And, you'd say, how's everybody? And you'd check in, and somebody'd say, I lied. I'm not doing so great. And then you'd say, where do you live? I live at 40th and, across the street from the CVS pharmacy. I said, you're going to be home tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Yeah. I'm going to come and sing to you. So it was a lot of like standing in the street and looking up at an apartment building and going, I think she might be right there. And just singing something as loud as you could sing and getting your heart open. And, and the first time it ever happened was 10 a.m. and they were all like, no, you're not going to be there. And I walked up to this and I looked at the apartment and I thought, okay, I think it's that room right there. I think it's that window. So I looked up at the window, and all of a sudden the curtains pulled back. And there she was. She was sitting there, and she looked one way down the street, and then she looked the other way down the street. And then she looked across the street, and she saw me, and she went, oh. And I started singing. And it's like, there it is. That's what it's about. I mean, that's the human connection. That's what you're talking about. That's why you started this, Zuza. It's the human connection that is everything in this. And it's the human connection through the emotional resonance of this music, this creation of emotional sound, of emotional vibration that gets to us in some kind of way so deep. So it's just, and now it's really about trying to hold it together. And they're really frowning on us, meeting. We can't meet in the church, but Brian Dyer, as an example, is building a stage in his yard. He's gonna bring something to his yard and perform in his yard. I've got people in my backyard. I have 5, 6 people at a time coming and singing in the backyard, and we're all socially distanced and we're wearing masks. And yes, you can sing through a cloth mask, it might be a little muffled, but it's not bad. It works, especially if your
Nice.
heart's in the right place. So that's what we're doing, and we're just, it again for us. It's really about the community. So we're just trying to hold each other in this place right now of sort of uncertainty. We don't want to violate any of the restrictions that have been put on by our community, because there are people that have health conditions and situations where they're really staring down fear right now, and we want to protect them.
Yeah.
So we're mindful of that, and that's also part of our performances. We pray for them, we sing in prayer, but we also are mindful of how far away from each other we are, and how we work it out. So we're, like I said, it's a time of reinvention and keeping it together. But we've just got strong hearts, and people that go, I'm not sure what this is going to be eventually, but I'm really glad I'm here. And I think the folks that eventually come and stay are folks that feel like they're called, like they're called to this thing. They feel it like we do. They just feel it as a big, huge, beautiful, positive message to the world.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Yeah.
If people could do this, if everybody could do this, we would be fine. We'd be great.
Yeah. And Dave, there's something very uh, revolutionary when you say that it's about community. And for some reason, in our culture, separated these two things, music and community. And so music became only art and aesthetics and performance. And although performance and community are also connected, but just something for the artists and with static meaning, and community something totally different. And that separation is just not real, because music is the whole package,
That's
right?
right.
It's art, it's community, it's ritual, it's all of that together. And so I think that nowadays this is a very rare kind of wisdom, to see that it's not common knowledge, although we know it's a fact, but it's not common knowledge, and people don't study that when they go to music school.
Right.
Actually, they kind of study the opposite of that sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, like, and so this is a very important message and wisdom, that the basis of the thing is the community aspect. And I kind of found that out, like I had experienced and discovered this uh, incredible power that music has to create bonds and community. And and I started to connect with people who were really into creating community, but were not musicians or making music at all. And then, like, they were talking about cooperation and how to bring cooperation into different circles, or like how to make poor communities aware of their power and how they could solve their own problems. And Brazil has so many social problems, and we finding out that people did not have to wait for the government. If they just talk to their neighbors, half of their problems could go away. And then when they got together, they wouldn't sing, but I could feel the same energy in the circle,
Right.
and that was like, wow.
Yeah.
I thought we could only do that by singing, and in this depth.
Right.
And so it was kind of like I found out a part of my community, of my world, that I didn't know of. And this world found the music to their world. And so that was the music making that really connected to what they believe in. And and that's where these things are coming from, right? You want to take care of the people, and that goes together with the music. It's not separated. So here in our movement here, that is so important, like taking care of each other. That's the priority. That's the place where we make music from. And so the music is born out of that. And right now we're having to face this challenge. So it was actually the next question I was going to ask you about how you're dealing with that, and you read my mind. So you said shelter. What is it called? Shelter?
Yeah, they call it shelter in place. So you
That is like a law.
it wasn't an enforceable law, but it was something that that our health officials were asking, and many of our, like our politicians were asking for that, and
Mhm.
we felt that we could, we had a chance to curb the pandemic if we did that. Um,
Mhm.
People didn't really follow that example, and so now we're spiking tremendously here in the States. And there's two pandemics. There's a racial divide here has come up, and it's been here for 400 years,
Yeah.
and it has come to a head, and I think it's because people have sheltered in place, and people are being introspective, and people are seeing truth, and our political process is not, it's broken, and we need to revamp, we need to overhaul, and we need to have a revolution in a way, um, to make this happen. And it's actually an interesting alchemy right now, the way that everything has come up. There are a lot of very unhappy people here, but there are a lot of also some very hopeful people that see this as real possibility for change.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those. I'm an eternal optimist, and I feel that my business now is to listen, to be educated, to to try and understand my brothers and sisters, of color, and to realize my place in the scenario of that, and to make changes, and not to sweep this under the rug, and not to just let this go by, not to
Mhm.
turn away. And that's my goal right now, and that's part of the music making, and that's what you're talking about, these circles of conversation. We're living in conversation, in conversing, and and music is the way that I converse, and the way that I feel I have an opportunity to make changes, to change hearts, if I can.
Yeah.
But I also want to be a voice, of word and reason. So so that's where I'm headed now. uh,
Yeah.
and it's
And
important for us
it
to embrace.
is. It is, and I think one of the principles of this work is that when we're making music together, especially improvised music, and especially like vocal improv, the quality of the listening that you have to develop, it's it's as important as your vocal abilities, right? Or even more so. And so we have been developing this kind of listening where we listen without judging, where we listen trying to get all the information in the spirit of the thing. and and that affects, of course, the this is the same ears, those are the same ears that listen to people talking and listen to conversations. So this kind of listening is something that we need to spread, because I think that the conversations we're having, with the level of listening that we have generally in our culture, these conversations are going to be very hard to have, because if you can't listen, and you have to listen to everyone who's singing, everyone, and sometimes the voice is dissonant, and you have to listen to it, and that does not have a political side. That happens with everyone. It's very hard to listen to someone who says something that is really the opposite of what you think or what you feel. But I don't think we have an option. It's like you're in a circle, and
That's right.
you don't have an option.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We that's the knowledge that we have, that we can share, and we can also cultivate within ourselves. This practice of deep listening, and we have exercised it in. I don't see any better way of exercising it than vocal improv,
Right.
and I wanna go from that to Weeby 3, because like it's different than circle singing, right? The work you guys do is like listening to each other, very different people up
Yes.
there on the stage trying to make it happen and create something. So do you see that? Does that make sense, that these things are so connected?
Oh yeah. You said something that sometimes, you said it, and here Michael Turner is actually saying it right now. He said, "So wise, Zuza. Sometimes the voice is dissonant, but you have to listen to it. Love the dissonance. Can you love the dissonance? That's the part of Weeby 3 that's so powerful, is that when my brother and my sister, and when I say Joey Blake is my brother, I can't tell you. I can't tell you how much feeling I have for him. I just love this guy. He's my he's been in the foxholes with me forever, and we've been through a lot. And Rhiannon is my sister. I've known her for over 30 years. There's something that has happened from, you take a blade of steel and you put it in the fire, and it becomes this incredible thing. And we've been in the fire enough to where we've become a real I don't know, a real focused music entity, that we're impressionists, I guess. And it's you know someone by just simple an inflection, a move, some simple, like an eyebrow movement, just a turn of the head, just so many different very subtle gestures. You just, it's like you're living in their blood. And that's the that's the deep listening that you're talking about. And that's a listening in conflict too. It's, of course, it's music making, and it's somewhat innocuous in terms of that. But at the same time, it's a respect, a cultivated respect, that it comes from years of experiences together, that are just, just, I'm so grateful for those two people in my lives, and all of their people. Their extended families are just phenomenal folks, and they're all part of this community. But it's that deep listening that really makes Weeby 3 um, a scintillating joy to be a part of, because it's really, there's absolutely no idea. It's clean. You don't walk in there with any kind of baggage, any kind of preconceived notion or idea, which is, circle singing is that exactly. But this is with two other people,
Yeah.
you know, and you've got to let the dissonance be something you say yes to. And that's really the key. And you're absolutely right in terms of the way that presents itself in our world. We are so caught up in fear and all of our baggage and emotion. And if we learn to listen like that, and we learn to love, and to
Yeah.
love the dissonance.
To
uh,
accept, right?
Absolutely.
To accept that which is different than you are.
Rachel Bagby had a phrase she used on a record years ago, and Rachel is just a dear friend and former Voicestra person, and she's amazing. And she said, "Full of yes, full of yes," and that has stayed with me from that moment that she introduced it. You know, it's full of yes, and if we can live like that, it's a beautiful thing.
You know, I remember one time, just to close this subject, and then I will invite Paula to tell us how the chat is going and if she has something to say or to ask. And but I never forget when Circo at Omega, because the you know, the racial element of American culture is very interesting to me personally. I was an exchange student in Jamaica when I was 16 years old. I lived there for a year, and that was the first time I got to understand more, let's say, the racial paradigm that exists in the US. And there is a very, very controversial subject. And my idea, the way I see this, is very controversial. And I actually don't talk much about it. But uh, the thing is, the way the British and the Portuguese saw the racial aspect of beings is very different. And so that kind of, not necessarily worse or better, but different, very different ways to see that. And that created different societies. And so it was a new thing for me, getting to, when I went to the US and for the first time, and to see that it's different than it is here. And for many, many reasons. And one of the things that is very different is that the idea of separation is very clear in the US, like of different people sharing the same country. This is different here in Brazil. And some people say that it's worse, and some people think that it's better. It's controversial, because we are in a very unjust place with a lot of inequities too, and actually much worse than the US when you talk about inequities and poverty. But different paradigm. And then I always remember at Omega, when a woman said, she said, "I was taught to hate people who with a different skin color than mine. And I was taught to protect myself from that, from them. And here I'm having these feelings when I feel that we're the same and that I don't have to protect myself from them. And I'm confused. And that is like, because my whole life I've believed that. And right now I feel so much love for these people that look different than myself. And that is, she was having a hard time to cope with that feeling. And it really left an impression in me, you know. How yeah, we want to have, I think we want to, in our minds, in some place, know that we are one. And perhaps it is important in another place, our mind, to also know the differences that are part of the world we live in. And anyway, just wanted to share that, but a very, very complex subject.
Yeah.
Paula, you've been listening to us on the backstage and talking to the people, listening to the people. What, you want to say something about that?
Yes, I am listening, everybody. Hello, everybody. Okay, several questions here, and about different aspects. Can I ask Dave some questions at a time? What do you prefer?
If you want, you can like try to get the idea, the general idea behind these
General idea,
questions.
and not one by one.
How many are them?
There's a lot different ideas because people
Yeah.
interacting here, exchanging ideas, doubts, and several questions about which apps can be used to study in
More
actual
technical
time.
questions.
Yes, and how to improvise in a natural way and creative way, how it's daily ideas for this, and like how to maintain a healthy voice and healthy habits. And it's a lot of different questions, but these three I guess very interesting for now. Dave, about your ideas, about an new app or some app you know about study circle singing, and who knows, make some circle song and how to improvise in a natural and creative way. What do you think?
Oh, well, you know that for most folks that have iPhones or phones, Loopy is, that, I mean, at the beginning of this, Zuza just took and created a quick loop. And this is essentially what singing in a circle is about, is you are creating a repeating musical phrase, and that those loops become integrated and create the circle song. So with a simple phone, yeah, right. You've got Loopy, which is like $4.99 American, so it's fairly inexpensive, and you can create your own circle songs with yourself and create ideas. And the thing with singing in a circle is that if we've talked about it before, what you have in terms of your own musical acumen, in terms of your own musical abilities, is enough right now. Right now, you don't have to be a wizard. You don't have to be a musical. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have. It's you.
Yes.
You are capable right now
Mhm.
of doing this material. Bob used to say it all the time. Please try this at home. And that's what it is, really. It's an accessibility, and that's part of the attraction of it. Part of the thing that makes it so endearing to all of us is that you can have young kids do this, you can have older folks do this, you can have people that say, my parents told me when I was young that I couldn't hold a tune in a bucket, and suddenly they're creating, and they're creating with absolute surety. And
Mhm.
it's from a place, and I can testify to so many people who have come to this very simply, but
And inclusive too.
yes, absolutely. And the thing about it is, so your music ability is enough, and you take one of these devices and you work with it, and you sort of learn it, or you manage it, and it makes you a better singer. It makes you a better circle song singer. So you basically hone your facilitation craft on your own, or you get a bunch of folks together, which is tough right now because of the pandemic, but you get a bunch of folks together and you create with them. And the idea here is you just do it enough, and you do it as much as you can, and pretty soon you become fairly efficient and
Hmm.
proficient at it. And we give classes in this all the time, where I've seen people just completely transform, and the transformations are so joyful because folks realize this is something they want to do. They see the energy, they feel it, they feel this energy that we all feel, and suddenly they're doing it, and it's just it's a great transformation for most folks. But
Yeah.
the app, the quickest app that I could prescribe is Loopy. And there are looping machines and devices, and there are all kinds of different musical musical machines that also have loopers in them. So there's actually a lot of this kind of stuff out there.
And Dave, when you mention Loopy, is it like Loopy HD? This guy, right? Let me put it up here. This guy right here,
Right,
or
that
is
guy.
it another one?
Yeah,
This is the app.
Yeah, that's it. And that's
this guy is only for. I think you don't have this guy in Android though. So
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, but in an Apple. But there are other loop apps.
Yeah, you have to find.
Yeah, you just have to go on your phone, and they're accessible. They're inexpensive enough to where you can actually just own your craft. And there's a group of people that are right now part of the Omega crew. Shout out to Joan Spear and to Lauren Lane and their group that are taking Loopy, and they are exchanging loops with one another using their phone. So there's no latency drop, which is kind of nice because you're just shooting it on a phone across, and then somebody's putting another idea on and shooting it back to you, and they're exchanging loop ideas, which this is all part of the process of just solidifying the whole idea of it. You're creating a monster in yourself in a good way. Your rhythms get better, your intonation gets better, your pitch, of course, with intonation, but your musical ideas get more sophisticated, and you become proficient. And this little machine on your phone can help you do that. So, or you get 8 people in your backyard, or 200, as Zuza was like, I'm waiting for 200 people to show up in the morning.
Yeah. And this do you have anything else you wanted to bring, Paula?
Yes, I want. Can I?
Yes, of course.
I was at Omega last year, and I took class with you, Dave. Was amazing and unforgettable for me. And I really ask you, and base it in these questions too, and about collective conducting. I can remember your meeting was full of energy and amazing musical results. And do you think the way you conducted the meeting and the people, what you can teach us about your kind of conducting when you were leading a meeting?
It's performance. And I mentioned this and I remember your performance, and it was really great. I think you were the last one of the day too, and we all went out of there just like everybody was screaming. It was so good.
Yeah. Everyone's so tired.
Yeah. No, but you just and I'll tell you something. What you exhibited was what really it's all about. It's energy. You get in there and you're energized because you're leading people in something that's really exciting, but you have to be grounded. You have to put the performance hat on in a way, because that's what this is. You're creating music in the moment, and you're very open to what it is, but you're also open to every single personality in that circle and the energy that they're giving back to you, which is it's outstanding. And I know that a lot of folks that are watching this right now know that energy because they've all had the experience. But it's a performance. There's a through line. It's a dance. It's all of that. You're watching the music being made, and you're birthing it, and your presence is essential the entire time. And so you're connected. You're thinking of what this section is singing, and what's the next thing, and how do I connect, and what you're sussing everything. Your computer's on overdrive. You're just really thinking really thinking seriously about, am I accessible? Can I really be for my people? And that's, for me, that's really it. It's more than, I'm going to show you a great circle song right now. It's more about, I want everyone to have that joyride and that dance. And I think that's the energy and that's the performance that you bring to the circle that just makes it great for everyone. You want to be inclusive. You want everyone to have this experience and feel like they're on the ride with you and they're helping you to execute it in the best way that it can happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for this. It's much more than layers. And
Yeah.
wow, amazing answer. Thank you a lot, Dave.
Thank you, Paula, for being this bridge.
Thank
And
you.
so I think we're going for. I set the target for 1.5 hours, so we still have about 12 minutes. So I'll let you hang out by the chat, and if you want to comment over there what you're seeing here, and just initiate conversation with people there. Let's make this chat
Okay.
really active. And actually, let me ask you guys. I'm not a YouTuber, but we're trying to promote this YouTube channel. So if you could please click on like for this video, and also subscribe the channel and click on like. We have 38 likes and we have 70 people here, so there's something wrong. Just please, let's make it rain a rain of likes. Yeah, please. All right. Yeah, because more people will watch the video, more people will get to see Dave talking if we have more likes in the video, and if more people subscribe the channel and all that. Like we sang in the beginning, Holly, but we'll end singing also. And so this is another part of it. We have to spread the word, and right now the word goes through these channels here. So this is the first talk. We're going to have other talks. So if you subscribe the channel, I'll send links to people who messaged me with how you can get to know more about like the schedule of these kind of gatherings. So Dave, there's some things that were mentioned that I wanted to just comment. One is the virtual side of it. Now, the way we're having to deal with it, like trying to bring this spirit online. And it was so great to hear you speaking about that in a positive way, because I've been with many people are just, oh, there's no way we can do it, might as well not try it. And we had experiences here where we were really surprised, like there's stuff that we can do. And more important than that, the spirit, we can get to experience that spirit through some kind of music making, where you have the delay, but with the loop stations and all, we can create ways. And you just listed a few. And so the meetings we were having by the park, the Fritura Livres, we turned them into open mics gatherings. That was nice. But then we went one more step and we're like, no, let's do it on Zoom. And everyone can join. We had about 50, 60 people last time on Zoom, and just trying to make music with them in many different ways. Like you said, reinventing ourselves. And that is a moment of such learning, right? I imagine like so much we've been learning right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And go ahead.
Interface, right? Digital interface. It's like you said to me, well, we'll have our digital interfaces. That was not a common phrase before this all happened, But yeah, it's like you start looking at your gear, you start looking at ways to reinvent. It's like the loopy folks, they're looking at ways to do this. I had, for a while, I would have students create, they would just, through Zoom, they would just send an ostinato, a repeating musical phrase through Zoom, and I would have to get it. and then I would put it on my looper, and I say, okay, is that it? And yeah, that's it. And we would create, 5-10 part, loops, just really, sort of however you could make it happen. Sometimes you get a drone going, where there's no time, and you can play a drone, and then you can improvise over a drone or over a phrase, and you just, it's like you said to me, you said, I'm going to do this and just sing long tones, because if you don't, you're going to be off. But we've tried, Rhiannon and Joey, Judy Vinar, and Bobby. We all tried to sing together a couple times, and it's cool. And you pass around, so you start something and then pass it off to someone else, and they sort of take the line and create something, and you just look at as many ways as you can to just to recreate, just to make things interesting and special. And I'm doing a lot of recording right now, where you record with your group, like SoVoSo, my a cappella group. We're trying to do an album, and so we're all recording on various devices and sending the wave files to someone, and then we're pulling them all together and creating the tune, and then going back and doing a video. And so, to sit on your hands is not so great, but
Yeah.
to try to make it work with what you have. I mean, we are adaptive, individuals. We are adaptive species, and we need to adapt in so many ways too. I mean, this is just part of the adaptation right now. There's so much change that we need to enforce and happen in our world. And this is another part of it, because, we don't really know when this is going to be different again, or we're going to be back. I don't think we're ever going to be back to where we were. So this is just important for us to look at other possibilities and keep our eye fixed on the joy. That law of attraction is huge. It's so important. And if we put the time and effort into recreation and into some new ways, things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's Jan right there.
Yeah, so many dear people, and I want to mention that Rhiannon was just here and sends us love, and also Barba from São Paulo. Fernando Barba was here, and so for me it's very special to have to be able to talk with them. And I feel close to everyone already, and yeah, Paula mentioned how your session, she remembers your session and the way you led that session, like the way you opened the space for her to do her circle and so many people, and how that contributed to the music, although you were not creating the music. And that brought me to one of the subjects I had written down here, which is the time that I was there, that you had an elective called Sing Your Heart Out. And it was very interesting. I was in a moment where I was, for some reason, I did not want to expose myself too much. It was a very new place for me, being at Omega, up there with you guys, also, doing some teaching, and that was very new and a different place. I was getting used to that. And so I noticed that I wasn't exposing myself. Like, if someone asked me to do something, I would like try to avoid it. And I was like, okay, so I have to go to this Dave thing because that's what I need right now. I need to look at it, to face it. And that was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in a circle. Like, I got in a bit late and people were just going inside and just opening themselves totally, and the group was accepting that and creating beautiful music out of that. And I mean, it doesn't get much. That's the final goal, right? It's what we want people to be themselves in the middle, and we create music together out of that. And I remember someone came and saying about the loss of their of her mom, I think. And that really, and I just couldn't stop crying, and that told myself I need to go inside. And you remember that it was such an important moment for me. It sang about my dad who had passed away, and during the week I got so many people coming to me and telling me so many beautiful things. and and that really inspired me to do something that I ended up doing at Omega. That was the what is important thing. And I can but I wanted to listen to you about where did that come from, and where do you have this idea, and how was it for you to hold that space, with so much emotion, and just invite people to go there. And how did you get to do that?
uh, the Omega experience, it's classes, and so there's a lot of okay, try this, sing on this. Okay, this is the interval. All right, this is 5, this is 3, this is 13, this is. So there's a lot of real just meaty musical and rhythmical information that's coming from every place, and people are really they're really in. They're from the moment they get there. I mean, we meet in the evening, and it's, you can just feel it. It's palpable, the energy. But there were a couple of instances, there were a couple of instances where I saw folks, and they didn't feel like they had given the science of music their strongest suit. Like they felt like they had, in themselves, they weren't doing what they thought was their strongest. They weren't showing their strongest side. And I thought, there's, everybody here has a song. Everybody here has an individual personality that needs to be shown. I mean, that's part of it. Folks want to come, and they want to show themselves. And it was a real strong pull. And I thought, we just need people to be able to sing something from their heart. And it was it occurred to me, and then I put it up there, and I thought, is it sort of, is it, I'm not making a joke. This is real. I want you to just really go inside. And folks got it. They understood. Um, it was very powerful to hold that mic for that time and wait for someone to approach it. Um, it was electric in some cases. I would hand off, and I could feel the charge from the person that really had something to say. Bill Light, I don't know if you remember Bill.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and Bill is no longer with us, but he sang about his cancer, and Linda Goldstein sang about her mother.
Yeah,
There
that's
were
that's who
there
that's
were
she inspired me to go in. Yeah.
you came on with, for your father, and there were such powerful um uh Chanel, she sang of her life, and it was incredible. It was
It
just like,
was.
wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be. I was expecting folks to really get into it because I felt there was a need. But it was kind of like I was uh, I was humbled by it, really, to be truthful. I was not surprised, but I was humbled by it, and it was very powerful for me. I just It's something I'll never forget.
Yeah. And I remember coming back and wanting to, like, how do I give? I've been through this experience, and I feel so honored and privileged to have lived all that I've experienced at Omega with you guys, and you guys gave me so much. It's like it's really it's really a debt of gratitude that I try to repay with my actions here and with my work. And
It's
uh,
we get it. I mean, we from the very beginning. I mean, we're all students there, and we get it. We just get it. I mean, it's a charge. Bobby calls
yeah,
it, going back to the well, and
yeah,
that's really it. I mean, we're going back to
yeah.
be refreshed, to be rejuvenated.
And I wanted to bring some of that, like that experience we had. I was like, I want to live this with people. I want to open this door to people here. And I started how thinking, how can I do that? I'm like, I was like, I can't do it like Dave did. I'm not gonna be able to just stand there and hold that space. I was thinking, and how do I open that space? And I had had that experience with this talking dynamic where you keep repeating the same question to the person, and the person keeps trying to come up with new answers from the inside without thinking, just letting it come, and you have someone there just receiving, just watching. And I was like, and I had this feeling that it's the same thing that we want when you're inside the circle. You want to the ideas to come out from the inside deeper and deeper without your brain just blocking it and just letting it go. And you need a circle to see it and to sing from it and relate to it. And so I tried that out, just do this dynamic for 5 minutes where I keep asking you what is important. You keep giving me different answers, and then we change. And then we would do it like he did. Someone comes in the circle and just sings, and it was wow. It was just magical. And then I did it at Omega, and it was wow. And then like I remember the first session was like 20 people or something. I was like, okay. And it was nice. And then the next session it was like 50, 60 people, and like I can't do that with 60 people. And it was so powerful, man. And then this last year we did it with everyone, but it was very interesting too. But this session with around 60, 70 people, it was so powerful. I'll never forget that. It was some of the most powerful moments. I just forgot the name of that guy, tall guy, Micah.
Sure.
Micah was there, and he just blew away. It was like he was singing about something very dear to him, about his father. His father was sick, and the thing just I've never seen, because his voice is like, and and he was singing like full on and shouting. Actually, he started. Wow, it was, yeah, you know what it is. You know what I'm talking about. And and I feel that that's such a healing and transformative place. And so it was very, I'm really grateful for you opening that door, and we should do more of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know,
And that brings me to the you're the guy who always sings, always says the music is your religious practice.
yes.
I wanted to hear more about that, because you're the only guy that says it, that always, that's the answer you always give.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I lived uh in seminary, Catholic seminary, and I was not a Franciscan, but I lived in the Franciscan community in Berkeley for a number of years, because I was originally Catholic, born and bred, and I was culturally Catholic. I was always looking for something that um, gave me that charge of of greater than myself and greater than humanity. Um, And when I started playing music, from the very beginning, there was something that was just I was taken by it always. I just couldn't get enough of it. I had just appetite for it always. And there are certain pieces of music that I can't keep a straight face for. I just lose it completely. I cry, and emotions come up, certain chords, just the way that resonance affects me. And I feel the power of the creative being, or this creative force, you know, in music. And I've had absolutely spiritual experiences. I've watched lives change. I've watched my fellow bandmates uh, be overcome. I've seen miracles in terms of the way that life is changed by music and by this communal aspect of the circle. And it comes to me time and time again. Um, the feeling of the divine. There's something about this God, goddess, creator, larger than myself. It's something I can't describe really, other than the feeling that I get is it goes straight to my heart. And it's I see it. I see lives transformed. I see folks that are hurting and suffering, that have been completely healed by the the access to this. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel that we have an opportunity with this art form that we do. We have an opportunity to change the world. You said it earlier. If everyone was doing this, the world would be a much different place. It seems very out of reach or out of touch, but there are so many things that that reinforce that for me. And I can't get enough of it. I really feel that this is I feel like I'm it's a very beautiful uh, commitment. I'm committed. I'm completely committed. My life is whole because of this, and I am committed. I'm committed to this art and to the communities that replicate it and that bring it to humanity.
Yeah.
So yes, it's
Yeah, bro.
a transformative thing, and I see it in how it works with people. And this is my prayer. So,
So I think we should sing from that. Uh, there's something you could do, Dave, uh, that will help the music. If you go down there, you see there's the cam mic thing, the option.
uh, on the
There's
bottom.
like mute, stop cam, and then there's the cam mic configuration.
Yes.
So if you go on audio, there's this disable audio processing
Uh,
box that I
so
think it's better if we uncheck it.
so this is in cam mic.
This is in, yeah, settings, right? When you click in cam mic, there's a settings, and then you go
Yes.
to audio,
Uh, Yes.
and you disable the
Disable
audio
audio.
process.
Got it. Okay.
I think this is the sound will be better. I think.
It's kind of like Zoom. It's the same. Same thing.
Exactly.
Zoom has all this, sound gate and stuff so that they can have meetings and not sing. We got to get them hip to that, man. Yeah. Okay. So what do you want? What do you want?
I want a loop.
You want a loop?
Yeah, I want one of your loops. One of your circle, like it's like I'm back at Omega.
Oh man. Okay. No pressure. Do do do. Do 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 Just a castaway, island lost at sea. Another lonely day, no one here but me. More loneliness than any man could bear. Rescue me before I go into despair. Sending out, sending out, sending out, sending out, sending out. A year has come since I wrote my notes. I should have known it right from the start. Only love can keep me together. Love can mend your life, but love can break your heart. Sending out, sending out, sending out, sending out. That's my doggy. Woke up this morning, don't believe what I saw. 100 billion bottles washed up on the shore. Seems like I'm only one being alone. Oh no, but 100 billion castaways searching for a home. I'm sending out, sending out, sending out my SOS, sending out, oh, we're sending out an SOS, 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 sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS, every boy, man, and girl, to the world, sending out an SOS, everybody in the world, in the world, sending out an SOS, every mother, every father, every sister, every brother, every neighbor, every lover, sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS to the world, sending out an SOS to the world. Okay. That worked, kinda.
Wow.
Ah,
Man. Thank you so much. Thank you so
thank
much.
you, Zuza. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for just being the heart and soul of this in the world, and just being the person, the human that you are. I so appreciate you, and I know that everyone that's been on this tonight has also appreciate you, and hundreds and thousands of people appreciate you. And I am grateful and honored to be on this with you tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. And it's just the first step. There's so much work for us to do, right?
Absolutely.
For some reason, I'm listening myself with an echo. But maybe, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it was a beautiful first step. Couldn't be better than that. I really. I'm confused because I'm listening to myself double.
Right.
I don't know where it's coming from.
Do
you hear that?
I just heard it for a while. I'm not hearing it now.
Okay. I don't know what's happening, but
A
good thing is happening at the end. But I was saying that we couldn't have gotten in a better first step. And I really want to appreciate everyone that came, that we do for you, for us. So you guys make it possible for it to be an us.
Yes,
So
thank you,
I
thank
can't
you,
even-
Omega family. Thank you so much, all of you, just every one of you. It's just a joy to be in your presence and to be with you. And I wish we were, as Bobby said, no Omega. And that's how we feel. And we miss you all terribly. So thank you.
Yeah, and I tried changing my mind, but this is hold on. No, I want to.
So hello. Okay. For some reason, when I mute you, it doesn't happen. So I've muted you a bit, and so yeah, Omega family was so important in this. I was just blown away by the fact that so many people were interested in this, and you wrote the messages asking for the link, and so many people heard about it. And so my invitation is for you guys to keep up, and let's do it again, and with people from our Omega family, but also with people from different families that we can get to know. So I'm thinking about bringing Keith and bringing so many amazing people that we know, and of course I want to bring everyone from Omega, and teachers, participants, so many people with so much to share. So it couldn't. I'm so happy about this, man. It was just because at Omega we don't have as there's not so much time for us to talk, right? So this is surely the longest talk we've ever had. So it's been a pleasure. Okay, see you guys soon, sooner than later. Love to everyone. Thank you again. Thank you, Paula. Let me bring Paula here. Thank you, Paula, for
Thank you, my brother Zuza and Master Dave, for your wisdom, for your simplicity, and your amazing musical power. Thank you a lot. Your classes, it's always in my heart and my practicing too. Thank you a lot, really.
And make sure you follow Dave on Instagram or on Facebook. I've been putting his contact here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you like this video. So there's just ways we can make the community keep growing. Love to you all. Thank you.